This is Trans Africa Radio.
Just 26 minutes before we get to the top of the hour. In the studio, my hashtag Man Talk guest, Khethi Ngwenya, hang out with me all the way to 7:30 Central African time. Get hold of him, please. +27 79 25 44329 is our WhatsApp number. That's +27 79 25 44329. And we're live and direct on @TransAfrica 872. If it doesn't say 872, it's not the original Trans African McCoy. And of course, we're live in your pocket on taradio.mobi, transafricaradio.net worldwide. Hello Asia, hello Part Europe, hello Africa. It is hashtag Man Talk guest time. Hello, Khethi.
Yes.
About you leaving the jacket, we can continue with the interview going on right now. He is such a well-dressed man. Have I not spoken to management about bringing people who look better than me? Damn it. I'll take it up with them. So, welcome. You talking to us all about turning schools into a marketing vehicle.
Sure.
My first thought is, if I want to send my kids to school, the last thing I want is someone putting brands in front of their faces for me to, come home and have my kids crying about getting a new iPad and now they want a new cell phone. How exactly do you intend on making these two, in my mind, very different things come together?
So, sure. It is something that sounds really bad. So, firstly, it's not just branding. It's about getting the right information to the youth. So getting that information obviously comes at a cost and someone has to pay for it. So fortunately, the fortunate part is that we got brands to be able to pay for that, to getting the right information. So things on careers, sports initiatives. So from where schools literally have nothing, no activities, here comes a brand and does a competition and does something that it's engaging. Okay. And it helps out the kids where there are no activities happening. So also bringing in various soccer players to the schools and just getting them to play with the learners and engaging with the learners. So it's about bringing the right opportunities through brands to the schools. Corporates
usually have a very selfish CSI, programs. They come in and they usually get more than they put in. How are you managing, having something as noble as education and also getting the KPIs and the return on investments for your clients?
Sure. So we work on different initiatives and it's all dependent on the client. Yeah. We don't believe that one wins more than the other. Okay. Because it's obviously a transaction, and we want the brands to win and we also want the schools to win. So we serve two clients, and the school also wins as an organization because part of the revenue goes back to help the school in terms of fundraising. So it's helping to fundraise for the schools, and it's also helping to get the right information to the learners, and it's also helping the brand to get their message across and to build brand awareness and loyalty from an early age.
So when did this start for you? When did you realize there was a gap in the market for you to use branding and marketing in a school environment?
It started when I was in school. The idea came from when I was in school. Partly I was part of an organization, Young Entrepeneurs of Soweto, and I learned about how to start a business formally and how to do market research, and I felt that information was very important to get across to young people. Then it wasn't just about business, it was about what other sectors are there and what else does the world have to offer, and what other information would people want to be able to better their lives and their futures. Just to be aware more. Yes, education, school, you go and learn, but some things you don't learn at school. So it's an add on us having displays on the wall in the school corridors, bringing activities to the school, and just the branding in and around the school that helps. We've had initiatives where we got a brand like Adidas to do soccer goals. They were actually branded soccer goals. So the brand is actually getting involved, and you get to the school, there's actually no soccer goals. There's no soccer balls, so they come with soccer balls, they come with soccer goals, and then the kids actually have something to do at break, and they play inter-class leagues, and that's so where you find really nothing. So most of the schools that we work with aren't really we don't work with any private schools because we just don't feel the need. A lot of private schools have money left over every year, to do initiatives. So we do it where we really feel the information is needed, and that's in the township schools, and really we have been able to make a difference with brands in those schools.
Have you found that if you get these brands into the schools and start these initiatives, that there's a sustainability element of it? Because as a brand, you come in, you've got a marketing budget for a year or whatever it is,
sure.
And you get to schools media and you say, Khethi, I need here's the budget, do something in the schools, we want to align ourselves with 5 or 6 schools in Alberton and Soweto, wherever it is. Mm-hmm. How do you maintain then, beyond just the campaign and the activation?
Sure. I mean, relationships with anyone, it should be an ongoing thing. And hence why schools are very important. So brands are able to be able to continuously, every year when new learners come in, new young people come in, they are able to already capture them. So, and able to communicate to them. So that's where obviously where the impact is. And so it's always new markets. Sorry, I just want, please repeat your question. So I get it. Okay.
So, how you manage the sustainability? Because, what I've found is that, I went to a private school,
sure.
And we would have, Nike was going to put a tick on our AstroTurf, and they were going to pay us lots of money for it. But again, as you say, private schools didn't need it. But yeah. in a township element, if you're going to go and brand something there, those initiatives that you guys and those campaigns that you run, how do you make sure that they, continue beyond just the campaign period for the client?
So it's always also dependent on the learner involvement, and if it's a sports initiative, the information on sports, or helping with fitness.
Yeah.
Some of the campaigns, it's more of a fitness activity, so it comes with a curriculum kit just on how to do the activities, providing equipment like hula hoops, tennis balls, and that. So always having a leave behind and the everlasting message in the school that's on the wall.
Yeah.
So it's not just brands get there one day, boom, boom, bam, gone. But on the wall, every single day, whatever is there, whatever the brand has put out there, that information, let's say Trans Africa, about radio, about the studio, different careers within the studio, you can have that every single day in the school. And the kids don't have an excuse of that they don't know about it.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of extra information that really, how is a microphone made?
Yeah.
Does it use magnets or stuff?
Yeah.
Did you know kind of things? So you don't learn that in education. So.
And it pays itself forward because you're potentially sparking career paths for the kids in the school.
Exactly.
But it must be a difficult place to work in, because kids, as we know, I've got a 16-year-old sister and a 14-year-old brother, and they are difficult. The brands they love are very, very particular.
Yeah.
And in one season there's a brand they like, and the next season there's another brand that they like, and the old one's out. Why would you go to an audience like children? What as Trans Africa Radio, as a company, as brand Leroy, I want to take something and I come to you. What would the return be, especially because it's such a young market and they don't have much disposable income themselves?
Sure. When my mom realized what kind of business I was doing, because at home, families, when you grow up, my mom's an employee, she works, and so she doesn't understand much about business, and she's got an idea what it is, the general, and then she said to me, when she was young, a brand came to the school, only 3 years when she realized, and she said they showed them how to brush their teeth.
Yeah.
And she'll never forget that brand ever since that day.
All right.
And that's a moment in grade 3 or grade 4 that she's telling me about. But the important thing is that the brand taught them how to brush their teeth.
Yeah.
And what product were they using. That is what is important, and that's what sticks. So it will take her a very long time to change from that brand.
Yeah.
That particularly showed her, and she'll always have respect for that brand because it's all she knows. That's who taught her when she was young. So that's very important why I chose kids, the school market. It's because that is the future, and you need to be speaking to the future to be able to for a better future.
And when you get exposed to a brand and you've got an emotional connection to the brand early on, you're able to then make those brand decisions later based on the history of you and the brand. And how did you find that, that translates in the long run? Because, now that we found that, you brought Adidas into the school setting,
sure.
Has the brands themselves, the look and feel of the brands then changed when you go back to ask the kids about?
I mean, we've been doing campaigns with Adidas for, I don't want to sound like I'm blowing my own horn, but if you go
you're allowed to. Just a little bit.
If you go to the schools where we've done campaigns, is that a lot of the kids, majority of the kids have Adidas school bags.
Yeah.
To be honest with you. So you just see it in that way. So, and I guess also they've seen as a brand their sales increase within those areas that they do marketing in, that they do initiatives in. So even though it's not really pushing hard, but they've been doing these campaigns for 4 years, and you can actually see the effect, and they can see it. So that's why I think they would still continue going forward
all the way through.
Yeah.
But I mean, your offering doesn't end then at just creating the concepts for the clients and implementing in the schools, because you have a very big eco-friendly a component to your business. Talk to me about that.
Sure. So we've got a Going Green project, which I started because when I was going school to school, I used to sign up schools asking them, would they want this? Would they want marketing in their schools? And I realized that the schools look like deserts, number one. And I mean, when the children walk to school, by the time they get into class, their shoes are already dirty. So the main thing for me was starting a project where we can actually green the schools.
Okay.
And make them look green and make them more conducive learning environments. So over and above that of my passion, because obviously I was saying I'm going to bring brands to this place, and this is where I'm going to be working, so I need to be developing the space. And I then started finding out, okay, greening, there's climate change, there's, trees are linked with climate change. And then I started and then it's a concept of Going Green came together.
Yeah.
And it was about greening the schools, getting the environmental education and awareness in the schools. And so that's more of a social initiative that we do as a company, because then greening started becoming my passion.
Yeah.
I'm very doing recycle initiatives. We planted close to 5,000 trees now so far. 5,000
trees,
yeah, in schools so far. So
you're doing well.
Yeah, the project is doing well, and we enjoy it as well. Yeah.
When we come back, we'll talk about you and your nomination into the Forbes Top 300 list. And it was #Man Talk Saturdays. It is 1 minute past the hour, 7 p.m. Central African time. News, views, reviews, interviews, and I've got a kick-ass one for you in the studio with me. His name is Khethi Ngwenya. He is the founder of the school media.
The CEO of Young Entrepreneurs of Soweto.
Yeah, yes. How was that?
Yes, that was good. As I mentioned earlier, that's where I learned about how to formally start a business, and then we were mentored by Soweto Business Executive Chamber. So they really looked after us and made sure we're doing the right things.
Let's talk about actually getting into entrepreneurship. So, I mean, apart from the vehicle that you've chosen being, the branding space in media, let's talk about how you get into entrepreneurship. I've had a few guests over the last couple of weeks where we've worked out that, as black people, yes, we are taught to go to varsity, get a degree, get into a job, work for a boss, and if you're lucky at 65, you'll retire with a fairly okay pension and a nice gold plated Rolex, and you will be happy that you pay for your house, you pay your bond, you pay your car, you pay your insurances. But no one actually encourages you to get into entrepreneurship. Why did you go into entrepreneurship to begin with?
I've always felt, I started my first business when I was in school, primary school. Selling, it wasn't a formal business, but I had a table, and that was one of the biggest businesses I started, was selling firecrackers in December.
Firecrackers?
Yeah, in December.
You're the bane of every parent, eh?
at the shopping mall, and they went very well. I first worked with my uncle. He used to sell them every year. And then one year I decided, could I start my own store? And I actually borrowed 2,000 from my mom and aunt.
Okay.
That was a lot of money.
Yeah.
Back then, still is a lot of money now. And within a week, before around the 28th of December, I had sold everything.
Yeah.
Then I went and bought firecrackers again.
Restock.
And by the end of December, I had 10,000 Rand.
Wow.
And I paid back my aunt and mom the money that they had. And I was around 13 years old.
What do you do with 8 grand as a 13-year-old? Get into lots of trouble.
I was into BMXing, so I spent all my money on my bicycle. So it was, yeah. But that's what made me get into entrepreneurship, because I learned at that age that I could have whatever I want.
Yeah.
And I felt that from there I didn't want to go back to school, because I felt that when I finish school I'm going to have to work anyway.
Yeah.
So I then became rebellious, and obviously until when school finished, that's when I said no, I'm not going to go to university. And my parents, they obviously didn't want that. They wanted me to go to college or to go study. And my mom ended up saying, no, it's fine, you can do it, try it, take a gap year. And that's what I did, and I started building the business from.
And it's been a great business. 7 years later.
7 years later,
still
yes.
Doing the thing.
Still.
So when you start off in the business, I mean, how difficult was it for you to get the funding, to get people to buy into the idea? Because it is a very novel idea. I mean, as I said to you,
sure.
When people think about branding, we think about billboards, we think about 30-second ad spots in radio stations, we talk about television, but no one thinks about schools. Which is weird, because you're sitting with, up to 300, 400, 500 kids who have 500 parents that they could potentially, coerce into buying stuff. I mean, all you need to do is go to the Woolworths at the checkout and you see 1,000 kids throwing tantrums because dad won't buy them the wine gums or whatever they are. When you started off, how hard was it to get the idea bought into?
It was hard, especially from the teachers and the principals, and just getting into the schools. Because they weren't actually sure what I wanted to do, and it's something very new, and it still is something very new that I have to explain to people what it is that we're doing and how it actually works. So every day, and as people get used to us and start knowing about us, it becomes very much easier. But to be honest with you, it was very difficult.
Yeah.
And signing up the schools as well was a big challenge, because I started at a very early age, so that's another factor, being very young and getting into business and working with people. So I had to obviously represent myself. At first, I represented myself as an entrepreneur, and then people actually wouldn't buy into the concept. Yeah. They would show me this, correct this. When I speak to the principal, you would go, correct this, and then come back. I'll show you how to do it.
Yeah.
You need a business partner. And then I ended up saying, this is not my business. You guys can, if you want anything else, I'll have to speak to my board, which was my desktop in my bedroom. So every night.
And your mom and your cousin.
Yeah, my mom and my cousin.
Equity shareholders.
Before she goes back to work in the morning, please check this for me.
And then they show the board pack. I mean, but the idea that you have to get around these challenges of having to represent yourself in spaces. I mean, you'd think that teachers would be like, yes, a young student coming up doing exactly what we're teaching you to do. Yeah. And yet the first thing they do is knock down the idea.
Yeah, no, it's true. And that's what you'd think. Everybody's going to support you, and which is not true. But when I started saying it's not my business, and stepping away from it and saying I actually work for the business, so that's when things started bettering up and people wanting to sign up, because I guess they had more trust in the brand called School Media at the end of the day, and not just a young 19-year-old boy walking in telling them that he's going to bring Adidas into the school. And 2 years later, we had Adidas in their schools.
Not knowing that the board consists of you, yourself, and you again. Yeah. And your mom sometimes.
So, yeah.
So you get into the space and you're now part of entrepreneurship and you've got these businesses that are thriving. What have been some of the issues that you encounter when you start on a day-to-day? Because, we've got this very glamorized idea of what entrepreneurship means. I mean, you yourself had it. You thought you made $8,000 one December and you're like, hell,
Sure.
maybe 80 grand next year.
Yeah.
Exactly. But I mean, it's very, and I think part of the reason why our communities don't teach entrepreneurship is because we're just afraid. We need the security of employment. We need the security of having a boss somewhere else take a responsibility of paying the rent and paying the lights and paying the employees. Yeah. And you're just a cog in the system.
Yeah. So I'm just trying to get your question there.
So, I mean, when you form part of entrepreneurship and you're now part of the system and you're getting it in there, how do you maintain sort of, the longevity of the business, I guess? Because you're starting off in an industry, in a world where it requires you to have a job.
Yeah.
And now I've got these glamorized ideas, and then you get into the business and you realize how difficult it is. Yes. How do you continue on a daily basis when the 8 grand doesn't happen every month?
Yeah. So with entrepreneurship, you have to be ready to change immediately. Even if it means that you have to move your entire shop to a different location.
Yeah.
As a process of, you might just move your shop and things start moving there, or it might get worse. So what I've learned is that there's not an actual formula that one can prescribe and say, this is how I did it, and you have to do this, and this is what will work. Things work differently for people. The timing, it's very important.
Yeah.
And that's what people don't know. So you could be doing something great and it's just not the time.
Yeah.
So it's always about trying to get the right time and just working towards it, working towards that thing. And the business it's about you. If you have a partner, it's you and your partner that have to make it happen. Don't think that you're going to retire one day, take your retirement money and open a restaurant, and it's going to work.
On the promenade, overlooking Robben Island.
Just because you've saved up all this money, it's not going to work. I've started my business with my pocket money. I didn't need any funding. I borrowed my sister's car when I could. I used her petrol until she was angry, and then when she refilled it, that's when I used the car again. So it was just using the resources that I had around me, and I guess that's what it takes to build a business.
Yeah.
And you have to be there. If you're not there all the time, you can't think. Okay, I've made 8,000 rand now. I'm going to go relax.
Yeah.
If you relax, you're not going to see 8,000 rand maybe for 2-3 years again. You're not going to see that, and then you're going to say, oh, my business is tough. It failed. And it's not the case.
Yeah.
Find something that you can do that it's an idea or it's a service, and that's just what business is. It's all about you and what you make of it.
So I have a big gripe. I have a huge issue, and I've been called to order several times, and very often I'm very glad that we don't have issues with some regulatory bodies in this country, because I'm really of the view that when you have a school media come through and you are doing the work of government, you are injecting funds into schools, you are injecting resources into schools, and you're injecting skills into schools. You're actually the middle ground for a public-private partnership. The schools being the public entity, and your clients being the corporates. Has government come to the party to help you out to make the environment in which you work a little easier? I ask specifically because as Adidas, when you go into a school, there's a list of governing body people that you need to ask permission for, and it's ludicrous for me that a principal can say no when you're injecting funds in, and they can pick and choose what brands work, because as we said, a school is not an entity that you advertise in normally. It is a public institution. So what does government need to do, or has government got the landscape and the landing for you?
You know what? Trying to build the relationships with government, it's quite tough. We've now working with the Castle of Globe as an institution, in partnership also with the Department of Defence. So slowly, I think we'll get there and start getting them involved. But and yes, I agree with you. Government is the best client for this. I don't foresee. Fanta being our long-term client.
Yeah,
I'd rather honestly have guys like the government. To be honest with you, and I don't have a problem with working with those other brands, but who is supposed to be doing this the most is definitely the government. And it's unfortunate they're not. So that's why you have young people like us with a better vision and a better future that we have planned, that we have in plan for South Africa. So and Africa. So I mean, with minds like this and minds like you, you know, we understand and we can see these problems. I mean, you've just picked up a problem that something that I know that I'd never think an outsider would know, would understand that. So I guess the future seems good if we see these things, you know, you know, and we know them.
Hopefully government, you know,
come to the party.
Yeah, and they stop having talk shops and all kinds of nice things. When you look at where the business is going in the next 5 years, what are you expecting and hoping will come out from the business?
We have developed quite a few softwares, just online publication, and we're just currently waiting. We know the data.
Yeah. See, government can come in on that. The government can come in and regulate how much we pay for data costs. I mean, we're a satellite radio station, so all our platforms require some sort of data or another.
Sure.
And we're finding that it's so difficult to just get people to get access to this information because of just the ridiculous cost of data. Every household has at least one cell phone in this country. So exactly, or more. And you could do so much to just make that happen. So what do you guys need to happen apart from data?
Apart from data, I mean, that's a fight for another day. I mean, we need internet more accessible for everyone. So I mean, as you know, the schools in Gauteng, they're moving to digital. They're starting to use tablets. So I mean, an opportunity there is that we have a platform where we're piloting it in a school currently, and you are able to push files such as PDFs, and then also such as adverts, surveys,
nice, okay,
videos. So it's basically what we're doing, but except we're just pushing it onto a device. So we're a communication channel. So if you have a video, if you have a file, if you have a app, we are able to push it and load it onto the file from our software.
Fantastic.
So we're just waiting on obviously the expansion of this into schools, and then the more it expands, the more we can also get more reach.
Yeah, well, hopefully in the ANC policy conference they discussed how they're gonna get us more hardware in the schools, and because for me the system is working backwards. I think government, the people who sit in the corridors of government, Khethi, are usually older, you know, and they are used to doing business very, very differently. Where we're sitting in the communication age and the data age and the information age, where, you know, your phone is your first screen as opposed to your television screen and your computer. I don't know when last, apart from being at work, would I open an actual desktop. You know what I mean? I'm working off my iPad, I'm working off my laptop, and even then my laptop is gathering dust because everything is done on those mobile devices. And
when do you switch on a TV?
Oh yeah, you're streaming everything. I mean, I'm on television, Khethi, so I actually need to watch myself. So apart from, you know, 7 p.m. on a particular channel.
No offense.
But I mean, even that, you know, television needs to start reacclimatizing to those things, because at some point, you know, 5 years ago, having an educational program on television was a big thing. And it's hard to get my brother to watch anything live anymore. He's downloading everything, and
content is, I mean, at the moment, content, it's difficult. I mean, for TVs, I mean, there's Netflix now. People are now just downloading movies. It's so accessible on the internet, if you have data, of course. And so it's like you're saying, the first screen is your phone as a young person, because you watch movies on there. So we just, that's where we see ourselves 5 years in the digital space, more than anything. More than anything else.
I think your concepts will go a long way to changing how we do things, especially on the ground. So when we come back, we chat about, you know, what's going to be happening, how we get hold of you, how we give you money, how the government, Mr. Kigaba, writes you a check for 20 million to expand. It is #Man Talk, #Man Talk Saturdays. Wrapping up the interview with my Man Talk guest, Khethi Ngwenya. Khethi, how you doing?
Fine.
You great?
Still good time.
Still all right?
Good.
You're not taking off the jacket, buddy. I'm getting a little worried. You're about to leave and my jacket is not... You're still wearing my jacket. Why are you still wearing my jacket, though?
I want to be cold, though.
Come on, I'll give you my little coat. I'm not making you walk out there naked. I'm just saying.
That's too fancy for me.
Okay. Look how he comes back with that one. It's too fancy. This guy. All right. So if we want to get hold of you, I want to talk to you about schools media. If we want to invest, if we want to, take our little brand and bring it to you, how do we get hold of you? What do we do?
We've got a website. Okay. It's schoolmedia.co.za. So you're able to contact us through that. And also just on social media, School Media ZA on Facebook, Twitter.
All right.
LinkedIn also.
All right. So we're waiting for you to do the most, and I'm seeing you've been working with some very good companies at the Rotary Club, and you've got some anti-crime campaigns. If you want to join some of your campaigns, if you want to come in as a corporate, what do we do? Just mail you?
Yeah, just feel free to contact us, bring up some ideas, and we'll set up a time to either talk or just send through your proposals, which is great. We've seen that in the past few weeks that people have been sending us proposals and we are able to respond and get partnership going.
You've done some very good campaigns, like you've done some branding work for the Rosebank College, you've done the food garden that you used to educate learners about how to grow their own food. You've done the Clean City campaign. You've worked, of course, with Adidas and the NEO campaign. So you've done a lot. And with Manila Day coming through when's Manila Day? On the 18th. What is today? Today's the 8th. So in 10 days' time, should we be calling you up to make things happen?
Sure.
Yeah. So
come join us and we'll give you access to the learners.
Yes.
Come do some stuff with the schools. Feel free. We are open to doing initiatives.
I'm happy. I'm ready to come in. So let us know, and we will make sure we get the right people to hear about it. It's been an absolute pleasure having you in the studio, and let's see how we can get students to be better people of tomorrow by just investing a bit of cash today.
Thank you so much.
Pleasure. That is #ManTalk, #ManTalk guest.
This is Trans Africa Radio.